Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 278 of Sold with Updike Pugh.
I'm Jeff Updike.
I am Weston Pugh, and today on the show, we're going to take you and visit a really great Frank Welch townhome that is on Buena Vista and is frighteningly close to the Katy Trail.
And in our second segment today, we're going to have Jeremy Radcliffe in, and he is going to give us the Mortgage Minute Update.
That's a great bit of information.
Did you like that? Did you like that, Jeremy? The name? That was
Got that. Good for you, Jeff. That's going to be good. What I want to talk about a little bit before we get into all that is what we've seen online that kind of piqued our information. And these are some DIY things that you could probably do, or Jeff could probably do. Happy to help you make them happen.
So the first one is a outdoor shower kit. So I really want to have an outdoor shower near my pool, and I ran across this online. These are a little bit more on the expensive side. They're a couple of $1,000 to buy the kit, but it comes with everything that you need. And well, I say everything. I'm sure it doesn't come with the gravel, but it comes with all of the wood stuff that you need to build the outside of the shower. They've got several sizes, several styles. It seems like a very DIY thing to be able to do if you've got just a little bit of skill and you can follow directions.
Jeff, remember when we built Adrian's sails or his pergola and my trellis?
Yep.
That same company, I bet you could get this thing worked out and do a workaround for a lot less. We're going to bring that to you.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Second one we're going to talk about is Okapod. Never heard of this. This is very unique. Actually, back up to the whole thing and show them, Zach, on what the entire Facebook page looks like or Instagram page. This is a product where it's almost like an AUD.
ADU.
But it's if you scroll down, lots of different looks on these things.
I thought this was really cool because it had great flexibility in being able to connect to an existing structure. But if you just wanted this to be a standalone room somewhere or building somewhere, it has that capability as well.
Really versatile. I think these would be a really great way to like create another workspace. Because we're all very conscientious of that, especially after COVID.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that picture right there. That looked like, like...
The roof was very interesting that it was a living roof that also had skylights. That definitely is not something you're going to see on Amazon.
So our last one is just a little hack that I found that I thought was really cool. I deal with this issue at my house where you can see the connections over the top of my washer and dryer, and I've got a little cabinet or countertop over the top. This person has come up with the idea of attaching these very inexpensive vinyl tiles to pegboard, and then you can see the 2x4s that are kind of the measuring standout that keep them from going. Yeah, spacers. Thank you. But look at that.
I think this is an OCD homeowner's dream right here. And as Jeremy pointed out, little things don't fall behind this, which is quite often when you have little helpers.
That's where all those little socks go.
Is the sock monster is right on the back side of that thing. All right. I love those. Very good. Let us know what you think. And now let's switch gears and let's talk about Market Watch and how fast things have changed versus last week.
Now, you remember last week, we didn't ask Zach to bring up last week, but last week was like positive 32%, positive 37%, positive 41%. This is kind of the leveling out because the week before that, it was all like negative Nancy stuff.
Because it was 4th of July.
Yeah.
So this is actually the first category or status that we have in MLS is called Coming Soon. This one's a little bit deceiving because it's not a required status. It's just a way for sellers and agents to get this information out to other agents. So it's down 11%, which is 9 units to 73. Now actives, the actives in the last 7 days that have hit the market are down 59 units to 561. And that's also going to see a drop in the option period, so 25 units, and that brings us to 294 versus last week.
And pending contracts were down about 17% last week. There were still 110 houses that went to a pending status in Dallas County. Solds were down about 7%. Keep in mind, this is very micro timing. And so down 7% in the middle of the month compared to the week before is really nothing. Mortgage rates, we went to Optimal Blue this morning. Mortgage rates average about 6.782% on a conventional loan. This is, with really best credit. These are, I think, some of the better rates that we're seeing out there.
It will be interesting to see if these continue to have a little more dip as the Fed makes other decisions based on the consumer price index.
And in our second segment today, Jeremy's going to talk about how we can make mortgage rates more appealing to someone.
I think that would be a really great thing to discuss. All right, so without further ado, let's get into 4000 Buena Vista Street. This is an amazing townhome.
Really cool. These are unique for that area. These were built, back in I didn't look it up. I think it was 71. And there's a row of them there that are just very unique homes. They've got big lots in the back. They're like the one next door has got a little bit of a creek that runs through the backyard. And I love the location.
Don't get me on the location. So as you see there's a little green dot to the left. That's actually a trailhead interest point on the Katy Trail. It's a great way to get started in the morning. It's maybe 100 yards from your front door. If you are a person that does not want to drive your car on the weekend or in the evenings because you want to just have a walkable lifestyle, this is ground zero for that type of lifestyle. If you have to commute and get to work, you have the 75 there, which will quickly get you downtown. You can also take more of neighborhood streets that will also allow you to wiggle through if there's a traffic accident into downtown as well. But then if you're flying, Love Field.
Yeah, Love Field, hop, skip, and a jump. DFW is not bad either. This is really convenient because it's right off of Fitzhugh, and Fitzhugh is one of those streets that wraps around all the way over to Lemon. It goes all the way over to Lemon, yes, and then it goes to Cedar Springs, and then it goes all the way over where you can hit 35 very easily.
So in a nutshell, extremely walkable. Probably if you scored this, it'd be in the 90s. Commuting, very simple, both north and south, whether you're into downtown or you're using both of the airports. So overall, very, very sought after location.
Absolutely. We touched on the Katy Trail being one of the amenities there. That's about a 6.5 mile, 7 mile round trip if you went all the way down to American Airlines Center, rode all the way north to SMU, and then turned around.
So the Katy Trail actually has a really great 5K that is actually coming up. I believe it's in September. And this is probably one of the great places to go meet people. It's sponsored, I believe, by Miller Lite. I believe it also ends in Rivershawn Park. Just a really great way to get out and meet a lot of other people.
One of the other things in the neighborhood is the new terminal building is opening right at the corner of Fitzhugh and Katy Trail, Fitzhugh and Buena Vista, just to the north of this, about 3 blocks. And as part of this unique residential building that I think there's only, 10 units in? I think there's only 10 or 12 units in the whole building. They have already opened some of the retail, and this is the new spa that is open there.
So this spa is also available in Aspen and LA and Dallas. We have arrived.
We have arrived. Book your appointment.
Book your appointment. Do it now. One of the other things that we want you to do, and do it now, is going to be Eddie V's. And we are sad to say that Eddie V's has decided to move on, and they will no longer be open at this location or in Dallas. Still have those open in Fort Worth, but this is one of the ones that, and I guess in a restructuring, didn't make sense for them.
Probably not. That steakhouse market, which I know this is more prime seafood, but that market is so saturated down there with Ocean Prime, Capitol Grill, Nick and Sam's, Perry's, Bob's. There's just a lot of that down there.
So it's interesting because would go to Eddie V's, I would always prefer to be in the bar, seated at the bar. And if you ever went on Sunday, they had a really good Sunday happy hour. Most people don't know about that. So tell us about Buena Vista, Jeff.
So 4000 Buena Vista is a really, really interesting street or home. This is a personal home of a man named Frank Welch, who is a really well-known architect. He's really best known as like the Dean of Texas Architecture. He died at 90 years old back in 2017, but he was known for this style of living open spaces. He was born here in Texas, raised in Sherman, went to Texas A&M. I know I hear people in the background going, "Go Aggies." He's worked with O'Neill Ford and Richard Colley before coming back to Texas, and he has built 3 really notable homes here in Dallas. 2 were personal residence. This is one of them. And then he also did this really cool ranch shelter that is on a rock bluff in Sterling County, which is way out in West Texas.
So this unit is one of the end units, and it actually is a 3-bedroom, 3 full bath and a half bath, 1-car garage. And we're seeing here, this is the 2nd floor where you've got this living room that has a huge amount of light that opens up to a balcony, and you get to oversee what is a rather large backyard for any of the uptown backyards.
It really is. Great dining area, kitchen. I love all the shelving that they've built in, and I'm assuming that this is all original because it feels all original and to style and to design.
I think it's smart the way that they've kept the living room with the higher ceilings, and then this becomes a little bit more of an intimate with a little bit of lower ceilings. As you mentioned, really great built-ins all the way around. This transitions into a really nice and extremely well thought out galley kitchen. This galley kitchen also has a wine fridge there on the right hand side, gas cooktop. I like that the shelving or the glass tile on the back kind of is almost the exact same color as the countertops. And as you see here, one of those is the pantry and the other is the door into the refrigerator. It's a really great way to not have hard focal points in a smaller area.
And this is the first floor bedroom that you have direct access out into that backyard. Really good oversized room. There is a full bath that is attached to this downstairs, so this could be a really great guest room for somebody. Could be a great living roommate situation with a bedroom because you do have that separation of the floors.
If this is me, I would turn this into a really cool office/second hybrid living room that would open up to the outside. This is a really great space and conscientious bathroom as well. Everything is in its place, everything is the right size and the right shape, maximizes everything that you need in here and still does it in a way that seems extremely spot on. Going upstairs, they've created this space right here that has really an amazing amount of light. As you can see, I wish the picture actually showed it a little higher up because there's really great light coming in from the ceiling. But this is a really makeshift space. It could also be an office, but as you can see here, they've got it set up as a great guest bedroom.
And this is the master bedroom, wood-burning fireplace. You have access to the balcony there on the back, which overlooks that really cool backyard. They Frank Welch brought some really interesting things in the way he does the windows and pulls them down from the ceiling, but the windows are a little bit further out. So you just create this feeling that you've got a little bit more space in the room than you probably really have.
And because it is an end unit, you get multiple windows, and one of those multiple windows is actually in the master. As you pivot and you come into this large master bathroom, you can see how well it's been done. The color in here is very, very unique. I thought it was really well done. Overall, this bathroom, I think, is one of those timeless elements that he did. And as we transition, we're going to come back outside and we're going to look back into the unit. You've got multiple seating areas, and you also have a spiral staircase that goes up to the 2nd floor. But overall, this is a really great space for both entertaining. If you wanted to like clean up the canopy a little bit, you could have a lot brighter space and actually do a little bit more of a container potting as well.
I think part of this, the vibe I felt from this is he's tried by leaving a lot of how much what all the trees and everything that even the landscaping inside the backyard is all to mimic having more kind of an outdoor Texas vibe.
It is great. So again, here's the Katy Trail. That's just kind of depicting where you actually go just around the 100 yards, and you're actually on the Katy Trail from here.
So this is 4000 Buena Vista Street, Dallas. This is a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 2-car garage. This was built in 1971. It's listed at $1,195,000, and that comes in about $495 a square foot.
Yep. And we'd like to say thank you much to Carrie Sternberg for allowing us to feature this home. It is wonderful. If you'd like to look at this again, in the comments, you can click on the link, share it with your friends and family. If you'd like to take a look at it, let us know, and we'd be happy to make that happen.
And with that, we'll be right back.
Did you know there are a lot of ways you can keep up with us? For starters, every Wednesday at noon, we host Sold with Updike Pugh, live from our Facebook and YouTube channels. Our show is dedicated to featuring some of the best homes in the Dallas market and about sharing timely information about market trends. But don't worry if you miss the show, because you can always listen to them on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify.
Still want more? Follow us on Instagram, where you get a first-hand look at what it's like to be a realtor. It's not always previewing homes for clients or getting them ready to go live in MLS. Lastly, visit our website and you'll be able to create a custom home search tailored specifically to your wants and needs that's timely and accurate. Whether it's square foot, location, or the neighborhood, we have you covered.
If you'd like to know how much your home is worth, we can help with that too. Just visit homeprice.fyi, enter a few pieces of information like your home address, and we'll email you a price. When you're ready to talk real estate, you can reach us online, by phone, or by text at 214-377-2223.
And remember, we want to be realtors for life.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second segment, episode 278, Sold with Updike Pugh. I have Jeremy Radcliffe with SWBC Mortgage here with us today, and there's so much talk about interest rates.
Yes,
and
it's
so
all over the map. Yep.
Tell us the story. Bring your data. Show us what's going on.
Yeah, so we were talking about this the other day. Rates are starting to come down a little bit, which is really encouraging. And I think it's got people talking. They're saying, hey, is the Fed has actually lowered rates. They haven't done that change in interest rates yet. But what has happened is I think there's an expectation that might be happening. There's some leading indicators, particularly you might have heard about the Consumer Price Index, which is the big measurement for inflation. Back in June, it was the first time we'd seen since the pandemic inflation kind of get down to that 3% number that is closer to the target of the 2%. Mm-hmm. That's good news, that because inflation is really the driver. It's kind of the enemy to interest rates. Mm-hmm. What happens is as inflation goes up, interest rates have to offset to make up that. Just the dollar doesn't go as far, so lenders have to charge more on interest rates. So this kind of gives you a little bit of a picture of what's happened on that CPI data. This is 12 months, over the last 12 months, and you can see in June of last month we got back down to 3%. What's crazy is, back during the pandemic we were up almost 9%.
Isn't it nuts? I
yeah.
mean,
So
things were going up so quickly.
I think that's been a lot of what the Fed's been waiting for and looking for is, are we going to see a drop in that inflation information? Hopeful for that, and hopefully that will continue to move in that direction. If we do see that, I would expect, Jeff, to see interest rates come down more, the bond market pricing that in, but and then also potentially the Fed actually doing a rate reduction, which there's talks of that happening maybe once or twice, 2024. But across the board, expectation in the mortgage market is that we're going to see some rate cuts. We're all very excited to see that as well. So,
one of how the mortgage rates, of course, I'm just saying,
sure,
people in general, I think sometimes think that Fed rate is directly tied to mortgage rates, and it's really, mortgage rates are really the combination of so many different
yes.
things. And like you talked about rates coming down, and like on the next slide,
on the trends.
Yeah, yep. On the trends. It's funny you bring this up because I was looking at almost the identical slide this morning.
Right.
Because if we talk about rates coming down. Well, in the first segment we talked about them being 6.78 on conventional. They were over 7.5 back in April.
Correct. Yeah,
So rates have come down.
they have come down. We're not quite at a point drop in rates, but there's definitely been, and a lot of that's been driven by that inflation.
And there's no change in the Fed rate in that time.
No. And what's interesting is that's the bond market kind of building in the expectation. There's a lot more, when the Fed talks about dropping interest rates, it's a specific rate, it's called the overnight funds rate. And that's the rate that banks will lend to one another. And so it's a bit of a misnomer that if the Fed were to drop rates by a half a point, then that's going to be an automatic change in interest rates of that same. Sometimes it could be more, sometimes it could be a little bit less. But to your point, and that this slide's showing a little bit of I like this. This is coming from Optimal Blue again. It's a great resource if you're just trying to get a sense of what's going on with trends with rates. You can see how we were pushing up over 7.5% back in April. Now we're kind of closer to that mid to high sixes right now, which is great. I think everybody's excited about this. I think the next chart will show you. I like to jump on to FRED, which stands for the Federal Reserve Economic Data. I like this because there's a lot of different information you can get from FRED. This is just again showing you the picture of what's happening with rates and trends, and then again pushing up back in. So that we saw rates get as high as we'd seen back in the fall of last year. That's where you can see it almost pushing 8%. That's when people were kind of like, wait, what's going on? So in that sense, we have dropped down a point since not quite a year. So I think everyone's encouraged by that. A lot of what we do, though, and I don't know if people are aware of this, the big driver around mortgage rates is this. It's an investment vehicle called a mortgage-backed security, which is imagined as a bond that people can invest in. That MBS pricing comes out to us every day. I don't know, Zach, if you have that next slide, but it basically shows from a technical analysis, you can kind of see this candlestick chart showing MBS pricing. The interesting thing about it, there's an inverse relationship between what happens on this pricing and interest rates. So as that pricing drops, interest rates have to increase to offset the difference. So we've seen that pricing jump up over the last 90 days. We've kind of tanked a couple of months back, but since then we've had some pretty significant improvement on that. So that's been very helpful from an interest rate standpoint. Hopefully we'll continue to see that MBS pricing improve. I thought I'd put together just kind of a quick scenario. What does this look like in terms of my monthly payments? So I just chose a few different options. Looking at the conventional loan, assuming you were at a $950 purchase price doing 20% down, showing interest rate at 6.625 with an APR of 6.673. Payment on that, this is just principal and interest, so you're looking around a $48.66 monthly payment. You can ignore the cash to close on that. Similar, we were just talking about jumbo loans. There's really not a big delta between what's happening on conventional loans and jumbo loans. And so on a 1.2 million, assuming you were to do 20% down, keeping it above that conforming loan limit at 960, similar rate right at 6.75. I think what I got excited about though was moving over to FHA, how we were able to drop back into the fives. And we were talking a little bit before this, how you could pair that now with a temporary buy down, potentially get into the threes for the first year, which would be probably pretty attractive for people.
Especially if you're somebody that's maybe this is your first or second year of your career, and you know that in the next 2 or 3 years you're going to see a pretty dramatic increase in income. It's a way to lock in the value or the price of the home today, lock in an interest rate for long term, but they still have the flexibility to refinance if rates did come down, right?
Absolutely, and the thing I do like about that temporary buy down is it's a subsidy paid by the seller, so it's different than like a permanent discount point. If once you go to refinance, you don't lose that subsidy. It gets applied back towards your principal, so the money's not lost.
Interesting.
So if you were to refinance in 12 months or 6 months, you still there's a schedule of how that money's paid out. If there's still a balance on that subsidy, then it comes back to you, which is great. I like that a lot. So I just wanted to kind of jump on and show you guys a little bit of where trends are going. I'm encouraged. I think a lot of people are, what I would encourage people is to say there is an expectation that the Fed's going to drop rates. I would also say don't wait until that happens if you're trying to get into a house, because everyone else is wanting to do the same thing. And it would be similar to back in, it was kind of the inverse. Back in the spring of 2022, there was a lot of concern about the Fed. There was talk of the Fed raising rates. And that's when we saw prices get really silly, where
Yeah.
everyone was trying to jump in.
Yep. Everybody was waiving appraisals and waiving inspections,
Yep.
and that was a
Yep.
yeah. A lot of my friends have said, "Oh my God, that must have just been such a great time for you." And I have to tell them it's not really that great of a time, whether you're a buyer's agent or a listing
Yes.
agent, because
You're
if
trying
you're
to
a
manage- yeah.
if you're a buyer's agent, you might have to write some 10 or 12
Yes.
offers for somebody before you get one accepted. If you're the listing agent, if you're getting 25 offers on that house,
Correct.
you've got to analyze each of those
Yep.
and help that seller to figure out which one's
That's
the right
exactly
one.
what's going to
It's
happen.
crazy.
That's what's going to happen if I think there is an expectation of, I'll just wait. That's as I talk to clients or different friends, be like, well, when are rates going to come down? We'll move at that point, and I'm like, okay, well, you and everyone else. So
Get ready.
basic laws of supply and demand would say if and to that point. I think what would be helpful for your listeners to know is that there's nothing that would preclude you from refinancing. Let's say you were to purchase close now, and if rates were to come down 6 months, you can absolutely refinance out of that. So I say jump while you can. If you found the right house with you guys, I say take the opportunity right now. So
He's the professional, everybody. So,
thanks. Thanks.
Jeremy, thanks for coming in
Yes,
today.
thanks for having me. It's
really
always
good
great to
see
be
you.
with you guys. Yeah.
So if there's any other information you need, Jeremy's info is going to be up on the screen in a minute. Just reach out to him. Jeremy and Weston and I have worked together for, what has it been, 14 years now? And
a long time.
Jeremy will tell you the truth, period. That is the thing we like about him. Whether it's good news or bad news, he's going to tell
We
you
have
the
to
truth.
sleep at night, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
We have to sleep at night.
So thanks for joining us today. And just remember, we want to be your realtors for life.
Thanks.
When you're ready to talk real estate, you can reach us online, by phone, or by text at 214-377-2223.
And remember, we want to be your realtors for life.